Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Zmore the Dad in DPS, and we're back once again with another episode of The Good, The Scrap and The Scrip, a series where I review weapons in Appalachia and see how well they put holes in the freaks. Now, today's weapon is potentially one of the best weapons I've ever reviewed, and one of the best weapons in the game. But before we get into that, don't forget to leave a like, a comment and subscribe, and if you'd like to support the channel, there is the join button to become a YouTube member, and the coffee links down below. So, what weapon am I talking about? Keep your ear out, here comes the Dying Scotsman. Woo woo! Now this weapon was gifted to me by Bubba Doodle Mom. I'm sure you guys are aware of who she is. She's commented a lot on the videos and she's been in recent streams. So big thanks to Bubba for this weapon. Now it is a quadruple ammo capacity, bullets explode for area damage, faster movement speed, railway rifle. With the exception of the last effect, this is nigh on one of the best weapons in the game, don't get me wrong. Faster reload speed or VATS reduction or VATS crits in the bottom would have made this a chunk better, but explosive with quad on a railway rifle is absolutely amazing, and I already know it is. I mean, testing it's moot, I just want to test it so you guys can see how amazing it is. Now, we are going to be testing this in my full health build. It's not going to be as much damage as my bloody build regardless, because of the way, you know, a bloody build works. There are things that basically increase your damage. Either way, we're going to see this weapon and we're going to see how much murder it creates. So, let's get on with it. Alright, time to show you exactly how disgusting this weapon is. I mean, there's not much really to say. It freaking murders things that you point it at, don't get me wrong. He avoided death because he's a little bit of a coward hiding behind crap. But he'll die. He'll definitely die. I will murder him. Bang, bang, bang. I mean, let's be honest. Railway rifles are incredibly powerful weapons. When you combine quad onto that, and things like explosive, you've got a fairly deadly combo. Faster fire rate could be argued to be in the running as well, but honestly explosive is good in a multitude of ways because you're just getting some extra damage. Don't get me wrong, this weapon is not particularly great at being used outside of VATS, however, because you are dealing with a lot of recoil. However, on top of that note, you could just use it with a prime receiver and, you know, go about it in that way. But I definitely think it's best utilised in VATS because it just completely annihilates everything. I mean, these things do not last very long. When it comes to getting your ammo back from the new ammo mechanic that they've got in the game, it's not as frequent as I would like. But at the same time, almost anything that you kill, in particular here, super mutants, drops weapons. On top of that, their weapons can be turned into steel. That steel can then be turned into ammo. So ammo is actually ridiculously easy to come by for this weapon, and overall it is by far one of the best weapons in the game in terms of damage per second and just how well it does. I mean, you saw those super mutants get completely annihilated. This gun's fantastic, and I know a bunch of you already know that and already agree. Now, as usual, we show the build. This is my full health, relatively low level in comparison to my other level characters. As you can see, I don't have my perk slots all maxed out on legendary perks, so she doesn't have the same level of amount of perks that she can have. So certain things I have to give up for certain other things. So for example, to get full kind of power out of the commando side of it, I've had to make some decisions. We have obviously our strength perks, all the usual stuff. So it isn't doing the most damage it could do. For example, luck would be maxed if I had my way. Agility might be maxed. I'm really not sure. Either way, we'd have more perk points. That's what I'm trying to stress to you. That is not the case, and I can't fit anything else in, so you can get an idea why it doesn't do a little bit more damage. You guys know where it's going. You know what's going to happen. You know who I'm testing this on. Jeff is not long for this world. And we'll see if we can annihilate him for the use of one clip. I'll be honest, I'm going to go for a headshot just because it is the most guaranteed way of dealing a crap load of damage to him. As you can see, we use our entire clip relatively quickly. I think the problem with weapons like this is that obviously it doesn't calculate damage properly in Jeff when he's getting up. As you can saw there, it annihilates them pretty quick. There's really no way to say it any other way. Jeff does not stand a chance against this gun, though if you just spam the fire rate like that, you are going to have a bad time. You're better off kind of staggering it a little bit, just to ensure that you can get a little bit of a more even spread of bullets, because they don't all register if you fire them very quickly, which is another reason why the faster fire rate one is inferior to the explosive version. Now we're coming up against the Mirelurk Queen, and my usual tactic is to essentially let her entire brood die as I do things. However, I'm fairly confident in this weapon that I'm not going to bother with that, and I'm just going to lay into her as hard as I can. And yeah, I think that was a good choice. This thing completely annihilates her, and that's a more accurate insight into how well it does in comparison to Jeff. If you fight against something like a super mutant behemoth that's coming out of the ground, you're better staggering your shots. Against Mirelurk Queen, just unload the entire thing into her and watch her just crumple to the ground like a paper tiger. Either way, very good. Very, very good. So, the last question always becomes, how well does this do in daily ops? And I'm fairly certain that you guys will be happy to learn. Yeah, this thing is probably going to rip through just about anything in daily ops. The biggest problem I run into in this case is robots, which for some reason always seem to not be able to be targeted in VATS for me, which is a big pain in the butt. It's got nothing to do with the actual robots themselves, it's more to do with the game being a janky piece of crap. But as you're seeing, we are annihilating them incredibly quickly. And then when we go to get our ammo back, we're getting quite a lot of it back. I mean, I've got more ammo than I came in with already. Robots are one of the tougher enemies to come across it in daily ops, because they don't have like a head per se, and it's really difficult to damage them in that way. And all the other enemies that you can get in daily ops do. So they tend to die a lot quicker than these guys are at the moment. So yeah, this thing turns daily ops into basically nothing. It annihilates every enemy that you come up against with absolute ease, whether you're in daily ops, out of daily ops. When I'm talking about Earl as well, Earl and the Queen do not like this weapon. It will shred through them relatively quickly in comparison to some other things. Don't get me wrong, it is obviously not going to beat certain broken janky weapons that I know people out there use that shouldn't technically exist, but they do, because, you know, people are cheating fuck knuckles. But that's got nothing to do with this gun. This gun is raw power, raw DPS, and if you don't get one of them when you have the opportunity, you're really missing a trick. I mean, I tried to discourage Bubba from giving it to me, but, you know, I'm not unhappy. I'm certainly not unhappy. So that was today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, don't forget to leave a like, a comment and subscribe. It really helps out the channel and keeps us going. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click that join link down below and you can become a YouTube member via that. There's also our coffee link and all the other doodads. But anyway, let's thank our YouTube members, which are Golty, White Blackburn, Wars Me, Dealfian Gaming, Colin G, Brian RMC, Peg Ignite, Matazbo, Devilman Games, Marcus Carrasco, Scott S, Bubba Doodle Mom, Ranger McSpriddle and Anxiety Rangers. I am really eternally grateful for the support, guys. I appreciate every single one of you. And yeah, I think anybody that was doubting the claims that this is one of the best weapons in the game have probably been quelled. Now, this is one of my weaker characters. This is a character that I legitimately have not maxed out and is not capable of dealing the same amount of damage via either the lack of perk cards or other things. This fucking thing is insane. It's absolutely incredibly insane damage. Now, you do need to be careful when you're shooting smaller enemies. You do need to stagger your shots. The reason for that is if you unload 40 rounds into the one enemy, you've definitely killed it, but you didn't need to unload all 40 rounds. It fires too fast for its own good, basically. So certain enemies you do need to kind of stagger the shots a little bit just so that you're letting the damage catch up on itself, if that makes sense. There is also the problem with certain enemies not allowing you to lock onto them with VATS for some reason, but either way, that's not the weapon's fault, that's Bethesda being very bad at programming. But either way, definitely one of the, if not the best weapon in the game. Anywho, I'll catch you all next time in the Wasteland.